Hello and welcome back to another episode of Not Overthinking. Tamor, how are you doing today? We're on a roll with consistency here, aren't we?
We really are. We're smashing it. I'm doing okay. I had a gym sesh with the trainer this morning.
Oh,
It
me
takes
too.
me like half an hour, 40 minutes to recover from like feeling sick after one of these sessions. I think I'm just about recovered now. So that was what I did this morning. And then yesterday I went to the dentist and got half of my tooth replaced. So if you look at my teeth, this
Oh,
one,
so for the people that listen to this on podcast, you're missing out.
yep, you're missing out on some teeth action, some teeth picks. Uh, this half of this tooth is fake, and the last fake bit, which I got like 12 years ago, had like gotten misshapen, discolored, etc., and so he's replaced it in a slightly better fake bit.
Oh, nice.
And so,
How do you feel that you have a new smile?
yeah, I think it's definitely an improvement. I wish I'd done it before because I think I was just putting it off because of the perceived faff of like, I don't know how to go to a dentist. Like I probably have to sit on the phone for ages. We have to like do like 5 meetings with him before anything actually gets done. But it was so smooth. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Nice. And you still don't know how much it cost.
I think they're going to send me the bill.
So they did the thing, and when you asked how much does
No,
this
he
cost,
told
it was
me.
like,
He did
don't
tell
worry
me.
about
Like
it.
last week when I went in for the general checkup, he did tell me. Yeah, it seemed reasonable. But yeah, it was just like very easy, very very nice experience. Good UX.
Oh, fair play. Was it a private dentist or NHS?
No private.
Solid. Yeah, I find that generally when you go private, the UX is pretty solid.
Yeah, very nice UX.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's me. What's going on with you?
Had a gym sesh this morning with the personal trainer Dean. So that was from 8:30 till 9:30, and then very conveniently at 9:40, a chap arrived to do a kind of mobile tire replacement on my car because the tire got bust when I was driving on the motorway, like last week, and then I had to get it recovery towed, vehicled back to London. Although this thing, these people, like 24-hour, 7 days a week, within 60 minutes, they'll replace a tire for you. Although I think I was outside of the radius, but that's in London. So that was sick UX. It was like you pay 300 quid for the tire, 60 quid for the call out. The guy was in and out, 10 minutes, tire was replaced, hunky dory.
Wow.
Yeah, super amazing UX. I thought replacing a tire was going to be a faff of like,
Yeah.
figure out a way to go to Quick Fit or something like that with a flat tire. But apparently, when the free market reigns, then people come up with all sorts of innovations.
I think people probably like overestimate the faff involved in lots of different things. I feel like I put off lots of things because I think it's going to be faff. I think I mentioned a few weeks ago on the pod that I'd always put off emptying the dishwasher because in my head it's like a 10-minute job when actually I timed myself it's literally a 2-minute job. And like I feel like interacting with any kind of health service, I mean, to be fair, it is actually a massive faff. Like I remember at university when I had to like see a GP because my hay fever was really bad. Like that was genuinely like the biggest faff of my life. If you actually want to see them in a reasonable time frame, you have to call up at like 8 a.m. when every I think there's this let me read. I'll read a tweet about this. This is a very funny tweet about this calling up.
I think there's a big difference between the faffery involved with state stuff versus private stuff. And in fairness, like some state stuff is very good. Like, for example, the government's like kind of vaccination infrastructure and stuff is actually sick, where you can just book an appointment with zero faff online. But in areas of healthcare in particular that have not had that sort of thing, the sort of revamp for the 21st century, it has a massive faff trying to get anything done. Had you seen a private GP, it would have been a lot less faff rather.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure it would.
Oh, thank you so much, Lucia. Lucia's just very kindly made me a lovely cup of coffee in this little Harry Potter mug. Lucia, you're the best.
All right, screw it. I'm not going to find the tweet.
Not going to find the tweet. Yeah. I wonder what other areas of life there are gains to be had, but the perceived faffery of said gains stops one from actually making gains in the first place.
I feel like right now there's a lot of perceived faff for me to like find a carpenter to like sort out my blinds and do random stuff like that. Yeah. Like,
mate, freaking go on Harvey's and just book a Calendly with them. They'll come over. Yeah, you can literally book it on a Calendly link. You can like book when you want them to come over and sort the blinds out.
What? And the guy will be legit?
No, not Harvey's. Hillary's. Harvey's is water softener. Yeah, the guy's legit. Like, yeah, it's such a great UX. I got a consultation from them when I moved into the flat in Cambridge like 3 years ago, And it was sick.
Yeah.
The guy rocked up. He had a proper like measuring stick. Uh, because they have like
What a pro.
they actually do have special measuring sticks when it comes to blinds. It's not just like a ruler; it's like a block, and the block is like extensible, and so they place the block in the thing, and then they place it and like squeeze it a bit, and then they lock
like
it.
some kind of tape, like a measuring tape.
No, it's a measuring block. And then they take it off and they're like, all right, cool, the blind needs to be this amount. And it's legit because it's not like some crappy tape that's sort of swaying in the wind.
Well, the other thing is that my perception is that it's going to take multiple sessions. I'm going to have to call him out once. He's going to measure it and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's zero faff. You just call him out once. He measures the things. He gives you a quote there and then. He shows you some material. And then you arrange a time for it to be fitted.
Yeah, maybe it's not so bad.
Just like right now, just do it. Yeah. It will take you about 30 seconds. Hillary's blinds.
All right, I'll do it after the pod.
Yeah, just make sure it's on the day that you're in St. Albans. So, okay, so faffery is stopping you from some sorting out carpentry type stuff. What else?
What else feels like faff?
I think for me, it's like, I remember I put off getting Invisaligns for absolutely ages. And Mimi would always be saying, sort your teeth out. And I'd always be like, oh, it's just faff. Yeah. And then this guy called Dr. Francis messaged me on Instagram like 4 years ago when my YouTube channel first started to take off a little bit. Being like, hey, I'm an orthodontist and I noticed that you have potential teeth problems. Would you like some free Invisalign? And I actually had a consultation with him, but it just seemed like a lot of faff because it was like, oh, you can't like drink coffee and stuff with the retainers in. You have to take them out. And I was like, I'm going to be starting my job as a junior doctor and I'm going to be needing all this coffee. And therefore, I couldn't possibly kind of have these retainers because that would be so much faff. And then 2 years later, when I left medicine for a bit of a break, during pandemic, I was like, okay, like it's pandemic, lockdowns are for the foreseeable future. Let's just try this Invisalign thing out. And 18 months later, the Invisaligns are off. My teeth are straight and nice. In a way, I sort of wish I'd done it earlier because, there was no need to delay it because it wasn't actually that much faff having the Invisaligns. And it's one of those things that I knew I would be glad for 2 years from now. Similar to kind of taking finasteride for the hair loss, where the results are going to come in sort of 6 to 18 months time, and therefore it just stops you from doing the thing, knowing that it's not an immediate payoff. Apparently, faff is a very British phrase. I've used it with a few American friends, and they don't really get what I.
Oh yeah, I encountered this recently.
A lot of faff, mate.
I guess you'd say like hassle or something.
Yeah, a ball ache, nightmare.
Anyway, that's some of the faffs in my life right now.
I have a faff in my life in that I'm sitting on about £800 worth of trousers that I ordered like various sizes for that I need to return in the next 100 days. But because I've got 200 days to return them, it's like it feels like too much faff to just walk over to the post office and return them.
Yeah.
I think that's how they get you. They're always like, free returns, hassle-free returns. 200 days. You know what? Why don't you just buy eight different sizes? Because then you'll find the perfect size for you.
Yeah.
And then they're all piled in a box in my bedroom being like, one of these days, I'm going to go over to the post office and drop these off once I've printed off the returns label.
I think part of the issue is like viewing stuff like going to the post office like as a chore. Whereas like if you had a free Saturday or something, and let's say you lived in like a village or something, you'd walk into the village, there'd be the post office, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, right? Like you'd do your post office thing. You'd like see like other community members, in pre-modern times. I don't think they were encumbered with this concept of faff in the same way.
Yeah, it is a bit of a first world problem, TBH.
Yeah, because like going to the post office could be a nice thing. Go there, you see the person at the counter, you have a bit of chit chat.
Yeah,
you like get a coffee. How do you view little menial things like that? Because like you can also just like listen to your podcast on the way there.
True. Yeah, it's mostly just around. I think it's like anything where, this is the stuff that I'm writing about in the book. There's basically, if we're finding ourselves procrastinating from something, i.e. not doing something that we know we should do, then there's usually 3 blockers. And it's one of the 3 blockers. And those 3 blockers are obscurity, anxiety, and inertia. Now, hello, Evie. The obscurity blocker is basically, I kind of know I need to do the thing, but I don't know specifically what the steps are. And I need to sit down and figure out what the steps are before I can do the thing.
Yeah.
Anxiety, I don't think I really have an issue with the post office. And inertia is just like, okay, now I just need to do the thing. I think with the post office, it is actually the obscurity thing. Like I have not actually sat down and thought, okay, where is the nearest post office?
Right.
Let me
Yeah.
print off this freaking post office label thing at
Yeah.
work where there is a printer. And
Yeah.
those things individually will take about 30 seconds. But the fact that like there's multiple chains along this, multiple links along this chain, and I have some level of that, they're shrouded in obscurity because I haven't yet sat down and done the thing for 30 seconds means that the perceived faffery of going to the post office seems a lot higher than it actually is.
Yeah, I think anything involving printing is a lost cause. I think I've talked about this in the pod as well. I think I've probably tweeted about it as well.
Yeah, it's not a problem they had in pre-modern times.
Exactly, mate. We need to go back to tradition.
Yeah, one of the curses of modernity is the existence of printing.
The bloody printing press, mate. Yeah. I mean, I do think like in St. Albans, for example, if I need to, there was a time where I had a routine where like on Wednesday, I'd minimize my meetings, my like calls and stuff, and I'd work in the town center in like the Waterstones cafe.
Yeah.
And like if I had other little things to do, like go to the post office or like go to the bank or whatever, like it's all there in the town center, the pre-modern town center. St. Albans is an old town. It's all there. And like it was nice. Like on a Wednesday, got a little bag, go into town as a concept, like have my little breakfast, do some work, pop out to the post office for lunch. Like it's a vibe.
Yeah. I wonder if this could be a good strat. Like in a way, setting aside one day a week as like your pre-modern day.
Yeah.
Of like, go to town and do the errands, speak to the baker, get a fresh loaf of bread, do some ironing, that kind of thing. Nah.
No, you're not about that.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think it's like perceiving something as being a chore that I should do, but I have to do it means that in a way it takes agency away from us. Whereas, I mean, with the post office thing, I could just think, you know what? I've got an hour after this podcast of broadly free time. Why don't I actually just take a little trip down the post office, get a coffee on the way, kind of actually explore the local area, that kind of vibe.
Yeah, I think part of the issue for me is like the mind virus of like, I should be working instead, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think like you can always have that feeling. And so anything that seems like, like popping out for an hour just like in the afternoon, like I shouldn't do that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the issue for me as well. I think now that we're in crunch time with the book, it feels like any amount of time I'm kind of falling behind on what I said I would have done. And then it's like any spare time, I'm like, I could be typing away right now. Yeah, usually I don't have the I should be working thing, but like in the last couple of weeks I have because I'm behind on book deadlines.
Oh, really? Like in London, right? I don't really feel like there's any community hub that I'm part of, Yeah, like there's no like, let's go to the town center, right? Like you look on the post office branch finder and there'll be a post office like every few streets or something. And so it all becomes like everything just becomes an atomized task of like go to the post office kind of thing. It doesn't like,
rather than why don't I go into the central business district where I know there will be a post office.
Yeah, exactly. And then like, do some other little things there and stuff like that. Yeah, I do think that is part of the issue. But yeah, none of these things need to seem like chores, right? Like going to the post office, like you can just listen to your audiobook or whatever. Like no part of that needs to be like, I mean, in theory, like doing nothing and just walking around shouldn't be boring. But like, even if you did find that boring, you don't have to do that. Like you don't even have to remove your AirPods at any point in the process. You just like pause them while you're talking to the post office person, and then you're back listening to your podcasts, right?
Yeah. No, I think in the post office example, it's literally just the blocker of obscurity of like I just need to sit down and figure out what these steps are, where the nearest post office is, and then once I've done that, and then it'll be way easier to actually just get up and go at some point. Whereas right now, it's like the planning and the doing feel like one lump. So it's like if I want to then go to the post office, step one is to sit down and figure out where is said post office. Step two is to figure out what is the label that I need to print and make sure I have it printed and be like, oh, hang on, I don't have a printer at home. How do I print this label? Oh, all the stuff associated with that. Yeah, one of the questions that I like from Neil Nanda's blog is the question of like just setting a 5-minute timer and asking yourself, what am I currently procrastinating from?
Yeah, I think you mentioned this briefly.
Yeah, I did that a couple of weeks ago, and I just like made a whole list of like, oh yeah, I'm procrastinating from all of these things, and great. Some of these are things that I can do. Some of these are things I can hire an assistant for. By the way, I'm in the process of hiring an assistant. So if anyone's based in London and wants to work with me / for me full time as an assistant to help me with everything in my life and the business, then I'll put a link in the show notes in the video description to the job application page. We're doing interviews this week. It's an exciting time.
What's the interview process?
Basically, I look at the applications initially. I disqualify about 90% of them, which are trash, and the 10% of them that have made some kind of effort go through to the next stage. The next stage is Dan, my current assistant, interviewing them over Zoom. And then if he likes them and if he thinks that they're competent, then he'll book them in for a trial day with me where we'll just spend the day together and just see what working together is like.
Yeah.
That is the process right now. But we are actually...
What kind of stuff would they be doing?
But basically, like half the job is personal assistant-y type things. And the other half of the job, probably more than half the job, is more like an idea / innovation buddy. The personal assistant stuff would be, the usual replying to emails, keeping on top of like calendars and making sure we've got travel arrangements for places I need to be and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah.
And also kind of helping me figure out where the nearest post office is, kind of organizing holidays, that kind of thing. Organizing dinners, the usual like assistant stuff, which is just completely game changing when you have the right assistant. Then the other half is, because that's not a full-time job. I mean, I don't need someone 40 hours a week to basically run my life admin. The other half of the job I'm kind of thinking of as like an innovation and ideas buddy. So for example, like one of the benefits of having such a large team that we have now is that it means we can do a lot of things. But it also means that doing stuff becomes a lot slower. And so if I have an idea for a course or an interesting like video or something, then people in the team, I can't just be like, hey guys, let's make this course about X, about how to the life-changing magic of a personal assistant, because it's like we've got 3 other courses in the pipeline that are different stages of completion. Everyone is overworked, etc.
Yeah.
So the idea behind the innovation ideas buddy is that they would just work directly with me, sit outside of the reporting structure of the business, and it means that if we have an idea for something, they can just whip it up like a version 0.1 very quickly within like a day or two,
bring it to life,
and then once we've kind of validated the idea, at that point we give it to the rest of the team to be like, all right, cool, guys, we've basically created this course. We just need to actually now film it properly and to make a landing page and stuff. We've already made the Notion page that has all the content on it for the landing page. Can you just go and like sort it out and make it look pretty and make a trailer and like do the market research and all of the other faffery associated with creating a course? So hopefully someone like that would, or for example, if I'm like, you know what, it'd be really cool to build our own mechanical keyboard. Hey, Johnny, can you go and look into what would it take to make our own mechanical keyboard? And Johnny would be like, all right, cool. And within like a couple of hours, he'd do the research and figure out that, okay, there's these 3 main manufacturers and we should contact all of them. Great, let's arrange calls with them, that kind of vibe. Yeah. Whereas with the team, it's like, oh, well, we already have these 18 projects and is a mechanical keyboard really worth it right now? And all of the faffery associated with having a team comes into it. So that's the assistant role.
And what's not working with your current assistant?
I think the fact that Dan is remote and based in Wales.
Oh, he's remote.
Means that like it's all fine and Dan. Like Dan was the one who arranged the tire repair that I had earlier today, and Dan arranges a lot of stuff. But it's just that like the fact that it's remote means that we just move a lot slower than we could, especially on the ideas thing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and another thing I want to do is actually just I've got a long list in my head of people I want to cold email just to get on a podcast or just hop on a call or something like that. Now it's a lot of faff for me to sit down and write all these cold emails to all these people. But if I had an assistant, it could be like, hey Johnny, I want to send a cold email to David Sinclair, the author of Lifespan, who's got the Lifespan podcast. Can we basically say that I love his work? I'm reading his book. I want to make a video about it. Would love to have him on the pod. And then Johnny can write the email and just like show me his screen being like, all right, I've written the email. What do you reckon? Does this sound legit? And I'd be like, yes, that sounds perfect. Thank you. Let's send. Whereas that with someone remote would end up being a whole song and dance of like...
for sure. Yeah, I think in person reduces the communication overhead significantly for show.
The other thing that we're doing now is we figured out yesterday is as we've been hiring more and more people, we are actually trying to hire some people outside of my core audience because we want people who are like really good at their thing, who might be working at other companies and stuff. And one piece of feedback we got is that like it doesn't seem like ours is a legit company. If you like Google Ali Abdaal Limited on the internet, you come across my website and you think like, wait, what? This is like a personal blog. How is this a company? Why do I want to work for it? So we were thinking like we actually need in a way a jobs page that has like a little video that talks about what it's like to work at Ali Abdaal
Yeah.
and like all the things that, you know, for example, Causal has on their jobs page, like why it's amazing, photos of people, what the posts are, etc., etc. And then we were thinking that do we need to change the name of the company, but we couldn't think of a good name. Can you think of anything?
What, from Ali Abdaal Limited?
Yeah, to something that's less sort of personal brandy.
But I thought that's the whole point.
It is the whole point, but like now more than half the business, or half the business, isn't really about the Ali Abdaal brand. And I feel like, in a way, if we had a name, like a team name that was not my name, then in a way that like fosters more team cohesion and stuff, and also makes it look more legit on people's CVs, and also makes it look more legit to the outside world if people are applying.
I don't know. I don't think so, man. Like, if you give it a name, no one's going to know the name. Like 3 million people know the Ali Abdaal name. Like, no one knows whatever random company name you come up with, right? So, for example, Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
Right. He's been doing like angel investments for a long time now, and his like investment firm / vehicle is called A Grade Investments, and like no one gives a shit that it's called A Grade Investments. Whatever anyone describes it, so Ashton Kutcher invested, not bloody A Grade Investments invested. Like, no one cares what this name is. I think the name thing is like, it's just a non-issue.
Yeah, I mean, that was the conclusion we came to the team meeting yesterday after thinking about it.
Like, would you rather say I work for Tim Ferriss, or I work for I don't
TF
know,
Enterprises Limited
Media Inc. Yeah. You know, like
yeah, true. Yeah, in the end we realized that all we need to do is just make a website, aliabdaljobs.com, just like MrBeastJobs.com, which can be our kind of essentially our jobs board, and that has all of the stuff around come work for us.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone who works with Mr. Beast wants to identify that as I work for Mr. Beast, not like whatever the random technical company name is.
But in a way, Mr. Beast is also kind of a brand name.
Yeah, which is what you are as well. Yeah, I think the name thing is a non-issue, dude.
Okay, I think the issue I have with it is the limited bit, because that just sounds a bit like pedestrian.
They just don't put limited. Like,
here at Ali Abdaal, we believe in.
I don't say I work at Causal Inc. I just say Causal.
Yeah,
like you don't need to be weird about it.
I work at Ali Abdaal. How does that, like, that doesn't roll off the tongue? Whereas, for example, Tim Ferriss,
I work for Ali Abdaal.
Yeah, but that would be people that like know who I am, and especially people who are working on like the, you know, Team Gary V kind of side of the business.
Wait, so you're saying that, okay, for if someone is not from the YouTube, you know, ecosystem, but they're good at what they do, you know, like making movies or writing or whatever, you want them to not feel alienated by the whole thing.
Correct. Yes.
And having some generic company name is going to inspire them more than like, I just think it's a non-issue, dude. I think like you probably need to tailor your careers page so that people outside the YouTube ecosystem can actually understand what the hell this is.
Yeah.
But I just don't think the name, like,
okay,
limited, whatever.
Okay, because for example, Tim Ferriss' thing is called Tim Ferriss Enterprises.
Okay,
and that sounds cool because it's got enterprises rather than limited. Or am I just like over-indexing on?
Like, dude, no one cares. Oh my god. Yeah, this is just a complete non-issue.
Okay, fine. So just, like,
you want to make it clear to outsiders that like this is a real job and stuff.
Yeah.
And it will be good for their career and things like that.
Yeah.
But that's not going to come from having some like schmoozy name like Ali Abdaal Enterprises. Like that's the kind of stuff you used to come up with as a teenager. Oh, you know, what was just some of your little names?
It was Cold Logic Studios was my web design firm.
Right. Yeah.
That's a good name. Yeah. There was Exantium.
Yeah. Look.
UIA Academy.
Yeah,
UIA Academy.
Yeah, the UIA Academy.
United Intelligence Agency. Oh, those were the days.
Yeah, but look, I don't think the name is the issue, dude.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I'm glad we put that behind us.
No. Hang on. How do we say, for example, here at Ali Abdaal Limited, these are our 5 core values?
Yeah, just say that. Or like on the team. These are our values. Like if it's Ali Abdaal Enterprise, here at Ali Abdaal, that sounds like a made up name from like some badly done sci-fi film. Welcome to Ali Abdaal Enterprises. Here at Ali Abdaal Enterprises, we believe in honesty.
Yeah, you know, like in Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it sounds like it sounds like the bad guys corporation for a video game.
Dr. Nefarious.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So I could just refer to it as join the Ali Abdaal team or something like that, and then refer to it as the team rather than
Yeah, dude.
yeah.
Yes.
Fine, I'm sold. If anyone wants a job, aliabdaljobs.com will be up and running in the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, it's aliabdal.workable.com. Workable.
Nice. Not aliabdallimited.workable.com.
No, I made this hiring thing just a bit rogue.
Why?
Because like there's this like diminishing returns thing, right? Of like the early people that you hire provide a lot of value because they're the early people you hire. But as your company gets bigger, then it's like each individual hire then adds less than the previous one broadly. Once the fires have been put out and the holes are filled.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, in a lot of cases, there's reason to believe that the extra person actually reduces the overall work that gets done, not even just the work per head.
Yeah.
There was a good pod I was listening to a couple of days ago. I mean, it wasn't a pod; it was an interview from some conference with a chap called SBF.
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Sam Bankman-Fried, yeah, and yeah, he had some interesting views on labor productivity, and so he runs a big kind of crypto exchange. I think they have something like 25 software engineers, and the interviewer was kind of asking him like, one of the interesting things you guys seem to be doing is that like you have a very small team, and Facebook maybe has like 20,000-30,000 engineers.
Yep.
Like, how many engineers do you think Facebook really needs? And like, how do you, it's interesting. It's from 2 weeks ago at some like finance conference.
Because I guess the dilemma I'm kind of having, and I'm not sure if you're having this given the amount of funding you guys have in the bank, but it's like, we're at a point where we've got like 20-ish people, and we know that there are things that we want done, that we want to do. Like, it would be great to hire this assistant or this other video editor or this graphic designer. And individually, it seems like there is a case to be made for every hire that we hire, because obviously it's like, obviously our YouTuber Academy is doing really well and we need 2 more people on it because like customer support and stuff.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you have a team of like 20, 25, 30 people. And it's kind of like we're sort of doing the same stuff that we were doing when there were like a handful of us. It's just that we're doing it. We're doing more of it. We're doing it at scale. We're doing it in a way that like gives people good work-life balance rather than not. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know how to think about it.
Yeah, I think it's easy to like if there's ever any like problem or something, it's easy to jump to the let's hire someone to do this solution, and like it'll always it'll seem well reasoned, right? I think this is the trap where like things can seem well reasoned when they're actually like really bad ideas. And so if it's like, oh hey, like we want to do X, Y, and Z, like we don't have the time for this, we need to hire a person to like do this role. So right now at Causal, we don't have any official product managers, right? It's something that various people in the company kind of do as part of their normal role. And like, the way we manage that sort of things is definitely a bit painful. Like there's definitely stuff we should be doing better. And like, there's been many instances where it's kind of come up over the past few months of like, like our product planning is like a bit messy and all of this kind of stuff. Like it would help if like someone's just focused on that. Let's hire, we need a product manager to do this. And I've always been very reluctant because, it sounds well reasoned, but I think it's still wrong because we can actually just do a better job. I think fundamentally, like the other option is, let's just do a better job and let's not have this extra layer of communication between everyone in the company, this extra sort of person. Like there are definitely like plenty of great instances where hiring someone is the right thing to do. But I think also just doing a better job and prioritizing certain things over others and just like changing the way you operate is like also the right solution from time to time.
Yeah, in a way, I think my philosophy on hiring has been like almost like taking a bet on it, in the sense of this person would cost X amount this year to have them for a year. If it was their basically full-time job to do this thing, then would that thing return more than the value of their salary, essentially? And it's like usually the answer is like,
yeah, but I think that's a very low bar, right?
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, this person just and it also doesn't account for like the organizational overhead of having this extra person.
Yeah, I think the organizational overhead is the bit that I just didn't really appreciate before.
Yeah, I think it's a lot less like legible, and so it's hard to reason about it when arguing, discussing these sort of things. But yeah, I think it's a real thing for sure. Anyway, we better start wrapping things up. Maybe we'll read a little review. We have a recent review entitled "Nice," 5-star review. Love the consistency from AKD Official in Canada. So thank you for that. Looks like people appreciate that we're back on the consistent hype.
Cool. Yep. Good stuff. All right. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.